Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and y'all got me working overtime. This has been a video that I was going to wait on doing, but again, this is a hot topic right now, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are very concerned. I've been having a lot of people coming to me, a lot of rays of light over the last 24 hours and asking me about, what is going on, or about what I've talked about, spoken about before, regarding the mass exodus of souls. So I'll start off by just, sending out prayers and good feelings and positive energy to all of the victims, all of the families that were affected, friends, people, by these two individuals that decided to go on a mass shooting. One was in El Paso, and that was with Patrick Crucius, who was 21 years old, and then in Ohio with Connor Betts, 24-year-old that went and shot several people. The updates as of right now, as we know it, is that they're in El Paso. The shooting from El Paso, there were 22 people that are dead, confirmed dead. That could again be, rising, I'm not sure. And 24 that were injured. In Ohio, it's 9 people so far that were dead or killed, murdered, and 27 injured. That's the fatalities that we know and the injured. But I wanted to talk about, what is going on. Like, this is nothing new. We've had a lot of people shooting, but the fact that this happened within a 24-hour period, it kind of raises a lot of flags and a lot of concerns. What is going on? Who is behind this? Because, it's kind of hard to fathom that just, out of the blue, that two young individuals that happen to be white men are going to, commit this kind of mass crime. You kind of start thinking to yourself, what is going on, apart from mental illness, apart from whatever I'm going to get into in a moment. What is the disconnect here? When I tune into Patrick Crucius, I get a lot of mental anguish. I feel like there's a lot of anger, there's racism. I feel like he doesn't come from a family that was, very loving in some kind of way. I feel like he was an outcast, very much a very low vibration. I can't look at him for too often. I feel like there was already some backstabbing that he has gone through, maybe bullying through his adulthood, or teenage years going into adulthood. But I feel like he was always in a very negative mindset, and he felt judged by a lot of people. And so a lot of this is about him, wanting to take action and wanting to have his name in history. Something also about, suicide was contemplated with him. I don't know if he didn't expect to live long, or that's something that's always, crossed his mind. But I see death around him, when I'm tuning in. I see like the Grim Reaper in some kind of way. So there is a fascination with death and the macabre when it comes to Patrick. And I'm also getting that he had a lot of inner demons. I do feel like he does have a spiritual attachment around him, and just very a very blocked chakra system, specifically in his heart and his throat chakra. And this is something that is past life related when it comes to Patrick and what he did. It's something that, a lot of people are looking at it is not just, because if it was a black man, black men, are typically going to be arrested for anything that they do. That's just a given. I'm not trying to turn this into a race game, but it is very much so with Patrick. I do feel like there was definitely prejudice or racism, and where it happened is in a primarily Hispanic community. So I feel like, against Mexicans, against Hispanic, Latino culture, this is the kind of mindset that I am getting. But behind that, I also feel like there was some medication that he should have been on, but he wasn't taking. There was also a lot of, and him not treating his body right, like not sleeping adequately, up wee hours of the night, doing some research on the internet. I feel like there is going to be some more information that comes out within this coming week. I feel like there are 2 other people that may be considering to do the same thing as him. Maybe these were people that he knew in different states, or like online chat. There's something in the electronics that Spirit keeps pointing to, that there is going to be revelation with Patrick, and that's going to be coming out into the light. Now, when I get into Connor, it's very different. The energy that I get is like of a person that is gay or bisexual, but is confused. Like there's gender confusion with him. I know that, this is maybe not a recent picture, but I do feel like in some ways that there's a lot of femininity to his soul. And so I feel like also he was not accepted by a lot of people. And whatever the situation is, I get that, he's not... he didn't really want to do this. I know that sounds very weird, as it's coming through from Spirit, but something led him to do it. It was almost like he was mentally kind of controlled or out of it. Like, it's very weird, because the vibrations and the auras and the energy between both of these individuals is quite different. Not just by the photograph, but just the aura itself. Connor doesn't have that vibration of like a serial killer or someone that's a terrorist, but this is an act of domestic terrorism. It is what it is, and we cannot condone that type of behavior. It's very sad that America, as a country, we're having to go through this. And I also heard there was some shooting in California. So again, there's just so much that's going on in the world. But like I've said in my predictions, for those of you that, and I've spoken about this in different podcasts or different Let's Chat or mashups, celebrity mashups, that there is a mass exodus that we're in right now. A lot of souls are going to be going. These souls were predestined to go out this way, because when there is some kind of, tragic event like this, it usually brings people together. It's something in our consciousness snaps, and in that moment it's like we awaken into protecting each other, to become more unified. In some cases, it separates people, but the fact that Connor killed his own sister, that's just so sad. But again, like you said, these are 2 white individuals, and if it would have been a black person, they would have been killed, or they would have it's like black men, in particular, they are criminalized, and held to a greater extent in the criminal justice system than when it is these 2 individuals. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are saying, well, it's the administration's fault. And, there's a lot of validity to this because of the guns and the firearms. And I know people that are listening are going to say, well, you're choosing, you're being biased, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the case. Like, if it's so easy to purchase an AK-47 or whatever rifle, I'm not familiar with all these equipments, but if it's so simple for someone that's 21 or 24 that hasn't, had like a mental checkup with a psychologist or a therapist, someone that has a personal background, like, and they're able to just, go and purchase these kind of weapons and carry out this mass destruction, it is just disgusting. And it's very eye-opening, on how dysfunctional our system is. People are so gung-ho for, being pro-gun, and pro-weapon, and that we have the freedom of carrying weapons, and that should be a right that's given to protect ourselves. But at the same time, we look at situations like this that has happened and that will continue to happen because there are not enough strict laws for people that are wanting to purchase guns. I honestly do feel, and this is just my opinion, this part right here is not insight, it's just my opinion, that there should be some kind of psychological testing that's very rigorous by a trained professional psychologist before anyone gets a license to carry a firearm or is even permitted to purchase one. It should not be that easy, like going into a store or going to a vending machine and putting some money in and getting, a gun or a rifle. And I know that we can't control all of that, but what's so sad is that all this money is being invested in going and putting it towards a wall when we can't even, control the domestic terrorism that is here in our country and plaguing us. And it's just a fact, and I feel like there is a lesson out of all of this that is happening, for us as a country, as a whole, as a collective. It is a lesson of, coming together as a whole and just loving one another and getting through all of this. But these two individuals are just very dark. And like I said, even though a photograph, you can't always go by a photograph, because what you see here is not always going to tell the whole story. It's just a snapshot of, individuals, but deep down, when I look into Connor's soul, I do see a lot of sadness behind that smile. It's like a forced smile, very different from his sister, very different completely. And it's just, sad. As far as these souls, they will be okay, and they will be in transition, but it's just, I continue to foresee that there is a lot of danger in places like this, like shopping malls, like clubs, nightclubs. No one is really safe anywhere right now. The vibration, this will ease up as we go into 2020, and I don't feel like we're going to see as many, violence, like we're seeing with mass exodus of souls. But there will always be, some that happen, and maybe we don't get to see on national news because it's more of an isolated event. But all we can do is kind of send out the vibration of love and support to the families and the victims, the souls of the victims, and the world as a general, and praying for protection, because this is a very sad time. So I just wanted to briefly kind of cover this, and I hope that all of you are doing well this weekend. Blessings and love and light. Have an amazing day or night wherever you are in the world.